In this video, we're going to go over an error that is actually pretty funny once you can recognize it. Sometimes people have some trouble seeing it, but once you can, it's actually pretty funny to see, as you'll see why in a second. And this error is called dangling participles or dangling modifiers, or sometimes known as misplaced modifiers. I mean, those are kind of used interchangeably. But the point is that it's when you have a modifier, often a subordinate clause or a prepositional phrase or participial phrase or whatever, that it's not quite clear what it's modifying. And let me show you some examples. Let's look at this first one. I think this first one will be, if you're having trouble seeing these, I think this first one will really help you. After he barked at the postal worker, John scolded his puppy. Now, what is the sentence saying? What do we know the meaning of the sentence to be? Well, at least we assume the meaning of the sentence to be. We know, just from context and experience, that dogs generally bark at postal workers. So when John's puppy barked at the postal worker, John scolded him for it. Right? That's what we understand from the sentence. Now, what is it literally saying, though? We have this modifier here. This is a subordinate clause that starts the sentence. After he barked at the postal worker. Then we have John immediately after it. John immediately after that subordinate clause. And then, he's the subject of this independent clause. His puppy is the direct object. So subject, verb, direct object. Right? That's the breakdown. This is a subordinate clause or dependent clause. Okay. What's the problem with it? Well, what is it literally saying? It sounds like John is the one who barked at the postal worker, and then after he did that, he scolded his puppy for whatever reason, right? That's what it's literally saying. That's because these introductory modifiers, when they modify a noun, generally modify the noun that comes right after the comma. Right? And that's what it kind of sounds like. If you listen to it, it sounds like after he barked at the postal worker, he being John, John scolded his puppy. So what would we have to do? We'd have to change the sentence to something like, after he barked at the postal worker, the puppy was scolded by John, or maybe put the puppy in the subordinate clause. After his puppy barked at the postal worker, John scolded him, or something like that. Though that might be a little ambiguous there, because then the him is that the postal worker or the puppy. But in any event, you see we have to revise this sentence somehow in order to make it clear that this modifier modifies the puppy, not John. Let's look at another one. Wearing the uniform of a police officer, many people were tricked by the deceptive thief. Alright, again, the sentence is saying, we know it's saying just from experience, that a thief is wearing a police officer's uniform and therefore tricking people so he can steal from them. What is the sentence literally saying? Well, it seems like it's the many people who are wearing the uniform of a police officer, and then for some reason they were tricked by the deceptive thief. We know that's not what it means, but that's what it's saying literally. So we would have to, rewrite the sentence to something like, wearing the uniform of a police officer, the deceptive thief tricked many people. That would put the person who's being modified by this modifier up front, right? So whenever you see any of these introductory subordinate clauses or any introductory modifier at all, you want to make sure that the thing that it's modifying, if it's a noun, is going to go right after that comma. And this is something that you'll probably see on your SAT. So if you can recognize it, that's good. Also, it's good to not do it in your own writing. So if you can recognize it for your own purposes, that's useful too. Let's look at this next one. This next one is not quite a misplaced or dangling modifier. It's more of a misplaced modifier or squinting modifier, whatever you want to call it. I'm introducing here just in case it appears. Most of the time, though, it's these dangling modifiers or dangling participles above that show up. He found his wallet walking down the street. Well, again, we know what they're saying. We know, well, at least we think we know what they're saying. We think the sentence is saying that while this person was walking down the street, he found his wallet. But what is it literally saying? Well, it seems like it's literally saying he found his wallet walking down the street. So this guy found his wallet as the wallet was walking down the street, right? So you'd have to change the sentence to make it clear that it's he who's walking down the street. One more example. Smiling knowingly at the stranger, the sky thundered ominously. This is an example where you don't even have a noun here to be modified by this introductory participial phrase, right? Smiling knowingly at the stranger. Someone is doing this, right? Someone is smiling knowingly at the stranger. We're going to have to add some information in here to make it clear that there's a person here who's smiling knowingly at the stranger. Right now, there's nothing that this is modifying, so we need some kind of noun. But in any event, you see the point in all of these. Most of the time, you're going to see of this form, but I just want to introduce these two here just in case. You see that it's all about what do these phrases or clauses modify, and is it modifying the right thing? Once you can recognize that, they're actually pretty fun to see, and you'll get those questions right on your SAT.